All right, guys, welcome back. So today we're going to be recapping PFL 2024 championships. It happened yesterday on on Friday, and we're going to be going through it. So in terms of my bets, I was butchered last night. I did not do well. Lost every single bet I made. Lost 8 units. All underdog bets. I felt like all of them were live. I liked all of them, and not a single one cashed, and most of them weren't even close. So let's recap it. First fight was Costello Van Steenis versus João Vitor Dantas. Dantas, super chinny guy. You could tell they were trying to set up Van Steenis, and he came out there and he knocked him out immediately. Good performance from Van Steenis. They should probably give him a higher level matchup next time around. After that was Acela Juge versus Jose Perez, a fight where I had Perez as the underdog, and I thought he was doing pretty great. He had that one really good round, and then he got himself caught in a guillotine choke, so that was not good. That sucked. But Ajuj is a good prospect, and he's only 25 years old. He's a striker who's learning grappling, and I think there's a good future for him. And I think Perez has a decent future too. After that, there was Gabriel Braga versus Jeremy Kennedy. Braga came in on short notice, and he did the thing. He looked good, was able to win that decision, outstruck Kennedy, kept it on the feet. Kennedy's just super, super hittable, and if he can't get the takedowns, he doesn't really stand out. So it was a good win for Braga, especially on short notice. But it was also a pretty friendly matchup for him, favorable matchup for him. After that was Slim Trabelsi versus Abraham Babley. Interesting fight, two grapplers. I felt like Babley might be able to pull it off pre-flop before the fight, but I did feel like Slim would probably be able to get takedowns. I just didn't have enough information on Babley's takedown defense, but good performance from Slim. I'm sure both guys are not going anywhere. Probably both guys will compete in next year's heavyweight tournament. After that, it was Mansour Barnew versus Alfie Davis. Another fight where I really thought Davis would be live, would be able to win that fight if he could just keep it on the feet. But ultimately, he lost. He got caught in the third round. He got choked out with a rear naked. And it happens. Barnew's a good fighter, and he's not that old either. I kind of felt like maybe he was getting washed, but I don't think he's washed yet. I think we'll see Barnew back probably in the next season format. And maybe Alfie Davis too. Alfie's still a good fighter. It's not a terrible loss. Barnew's an elite grappler, and it's not super surprising for him to get the finish there with the sub. After that, it was Muhammad Saifi versus Georges Aid. I really thought that Aid was a live dog there. Turns out they're like friends or something, because that was a really weird fight where Aid in particular really wasn't chasing a finish at all. And I didn't think Mohsen would be able to do 5 rounds, but he did, and he won the decision. So good for him. I'm still not sold on him, though, but he's a solid fighter. I just feel like once he gets some real adversity, especially in a 5-rounder, he's going to struggle. But so far, he's been an exciting, really explosive, powerful striker. So I'll give him credit where credit's due. After that, we had Ali Taleb. He knocked out Rashid Haas in the first round. Not super surprising. Haas is a decent fighter, but Ali Taleb's a legitimate contender, a legitimate prospect, and another guy who's probably going to be in next season, and I think will have a lot of success if he is. Except, wait, no, there's no 135 season. I wonder if they're going to make one, because now after Bellator, after they acquired them, they have an entire roster of bantamweights, but so far they're not really doing much with them. I mean, I hope for their sake, especially with guys like Patchy Mix, they do make a 135 tournament, but we'll see. If they did make one, they have a lot of good guys. It would be an exciting tournament. But PFL is PFL. I don't know what's going on there. I feel like Don Davis is not doing them good, but what can you do? After that, it was Hatan Al Saif. She fought Lilia Osmani, who's making her debut. They're just feeding people to Al Saif, trying to build her up. And she's a good fighter, but for now, until she gets real challenges, not much to say about her. After that, there was a rematch. Muhammad Al-Akra fought Omar El Dafri in the 170-pound tournament for PFL MENA. And Al-Akra was a heavy favorite. He was like minus 400. A lot of people, including myself, felt that he would come out there and grapple like he usually does. And in their first fight, he completely out-grappled Omar, especially once it was like the third round. And this was a 5-rounder. So I felt like Al-Akra would have the cardio advantage, the grappling advantage. And he was winning that fight until Omar came out there and knocked him out. Omar's a really dangerous striker, and he's had a really good career turnaround. So good for him. Excited to see what's next for him. And I doubt Al-Akra's going anywhere. I'm sure he's going to stay around too. After that, what do we have? After that, we had Abdullah Al-Qatani versus Belagut. Belagut came in on short notice. Al-Qatani was supposed to have a rematch against the guy who beat him in the semifinals, but instead he was fighting Belagut, and Belagut's a good striker, so it's pretty impressive that Al-Qatani came out there and knocked him out in the first 3 minutes, because Al-Qatani, I thought, would probably need to grapple a bit, use that cardio edge. Belagut's on short notice, but now he came out there, Al-Qatani, and he finished him early, so really good performance, and that's a guy I've been looking out for a while. I think he's a great prospect, Al-Qatani, and I'm sure he'll have a bright future. After that, we had Denis Goltsov versus Oleg Popov. A lot of people were on Popov. I leaned Goltsov in that fight, but I didn't expect it to end the way it did. Popov took him down pretty easily, and then Goltsov wasn't able to get back up, and then he locks in a triangle, and he chokes out Popov completely. Popov went out unconscious, and that was a pretty impressive performance that nobody expected, I don't think. But good for Goltsov. He finally got that championship belt in PFL, which he's been trying to do for many years and hasn't been able to. After that, it was Gadzi Rabadana versus Brent Primus, and my guy Brent Primus, I like him a lot. He's one of my favorite non-UFC fighters. I bet him at plus 400, and he had some good sub attempts off bottom in the first round, but after that, Rabadanov just kind of picked him apart, knocked him out. Great performance by Rabadanov. He's an elite fighter, and definitely somebody to look out for, and someone who will probably be one of the top guys in next year's tournament as well. After that, it was Shamil Musayev versus Magomed Umilatov, and Musayev is the real deal, man. I really hope, I don't know if they will, but I really hope that the UFC is able to get him somehow, because he's one of the best 170-pound fighters in the world, in my opinion. Just an elite striker with really good takedown defense. On the regional scene, his takedown defense didn't look good, but it's improved so much. And now he's beat two really tough, undefeated Russian guys back to back. First Murad Ramazanov, then Magomed Umilatov. He beat both of them. Really good striking, and he'll probably win the tournament again next year if he doesn't go somewhere like the UFC. I really hope he does. I would want to see him against some guys at 170 in the UFC. Like him versus Prates would be sick. Him versus Ian Gary would be a good fight. Him Shafkat would be really interesting. Him against Bilal. I think Bilal might be able to beat him though with the grappling, but all those matchups would be sick. So really excited about Musayev now, 20-0, undefeated. After that, it was Dovadan Yakshimuradov versus Impa Kasanganay. Yakshimuradov came out there. So when pre-tape, I felt like it was probably going to be Impa, and then I taped it, and I was like, you know what? This is dog or pass. I think Yakshimuradov can knock him out, and I think he can win a decision, because Impa's been a little bit chinny lately. He's been getting hurt in a lot of his fights. The last two fights before Yakshimuradov, he got hurt in both of them. The Josh Silveira fight, he got hurt, and he got hurt against blanking on his name, scary dude who hits really hard, Neto. He got hurt against him, so I felt like Yakshimuradov could hurt him, and he did, and he knocked him out real early in the first round. So great performance by Yakshimuradov, probably the dark horse of the division, and he did win. After that, we had Dakota Ditcheva versus Tyler Santos, and that's what everybody's talking about now. Dakota Ditcheva, and I can't deny her anymore. Going into this fight, I felt like she was still super untested in the grappling, and I really felt like Santos was very live to win that fight, at least to get more takedowns than she did. But she came out there, and Ditcheva's too big, first of all. She's very physical. She's very big, very strong, and the takedown defense looked very improved. She ended up on top of Santos before Santos ended up on top of her, and she just completely outstruck her, finished her in the second round, did what Valentina Shevchenko couldn't do, what nobody else has been able to do, and I really hope she somehow makes it to the UFC, because I want to see her fight some of these women. I want to see her fight Shevchenko. I want to see her fight Grasso. I want to see her fight Manon, especially Manon. That would be a sick striking fight. So hopefully they somehow get her, but I have a feeling PFL is going to try really hard not to let go of her, because she's probably their biggest star right now, and she's a homegrown star for the most part. They're the ones who found her, who built her up, and she's been looking phenomenal. That was an insane performance. Good for Ditcheva. Easily one of the best women in the world at that division. And like I said, I would really like to see her in some of these matchups in the UFC, particularly Manon Fiorot. I think that'll be an awesome fight. And then after that, we had the main event, Timur Khizriev versus Brandon Loughnane. Loughnane was another underdog that I bet. I really thought he'd be able to outstrike Khizriev on the feet, but Khizriev is just, he's different. He's an absolute animal, really good wrestling, phenomenal striking, really well rounded, and really good cardio too. He was able to do it for 5 rounds, and he pretty much shut out Loughnane. So that was a great performance by Khizriev. And that's it. That's PFL championships. I think we have the Europe championships coming up in a few weeks. I'll have a video for that. And yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.